just stand in front of my sunlight therapy lamp for like 3 to 5 minutes and drink water, because it's winter and there ain't no way I'm going outside right now, and it's still really dark, so I can't even get sunlight in my eyes. So in the winter I just do this. First I was a little skeptical about whether this light actually will help me with seasonal depression, but it actually does, and you have to do it consistently to notice the difference. And I know that it sort of works when I realize my cat, Little Muffin, she is a big sunbathing lover, and every morning when I turn on this, she'll come and sit right in front of it for like 10-15 minutes. So that says something. Every year I come up with a one-word intention for the year, and my one-word intention for 2025 is self-discipline. I realized I was lacking this a lot this past year. I usually don't have issue with setting up goals or knowing which steps to take, but more so following through with it, being consistent with it. It was just a vicious cycle of set a goal, not following through with it, not being consistent with it, set another one, say I'm gonna be consistent, but ended up not doing it. One thing I learned recently is that self-discipline is really about self-respect. If you think about it, if you respect someone, you always show up on time, you give your best effort because you value that relationship and their trust, and you care about what they think. When it comes to ourselves, we just sort of don't take that as seriously. I realized I used to say this a lot, like, oh, I'm just not a disciplined person, I'm just a sloppy person, I guess I'm just not good at being consistent. And I realized the more I keep telling myself these things, the more I find ways to reaffirm that. So now I created a whole new identity and image for myself. So my daily affirmation has become, I am a self-disciplined person. I respect myself. So when I see myself under that light, self-discipline isn't some task I need to do. Now it has become a way of showing self-love and self-respect. One area that I want to put this into practice is getting up in the morning without hitting snooze. In the moment, this seems like such a small and harmless thing because like 10-15 more minutes in the bed probably won't hurt. But now I try to think of it as just like, this is the first promise to myself that I need to keep. And if I can't do this, how can I follow through with the bigger stuff throughout my day? So this isn't just about like punishing myself or being strict with myself. It's more so about respecting my own time and commitment. And one thing that was helpful in doing this was doing the 5-second rule. So count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And get up right after that, because basically you only give yourself 5 seconds to do the thing. If you wait longer than that, then your mind will get quite noisy and you'll contemplate and try to talk yourself out of it. So that was helpful, but it was a lot of like prep talk in my head of like, I can do this, I can do hard things because I respect myself. This new identity does not feel very comfortable because it's just not familiar with what I'm used to. But I guess that's the process of change. And this applies to anything that I don't want to do. For example, I'm trying to increase my calorie intake. So I set out a goal to drink the mass gainer smoothie proteins multiple times a week. And those taste really gross. And I really don't want to do it. I tell myself like, hey, remember, you're someone who can do hard things now. You're someone who respect yourself and you're a disciplined person now. I also read somewhere that instead of focusing on how much you don't want to do the thing, try to focus on how good it feels after. For example, after I drink the whole thing, I often feel very accomplished and rewarding after. So I try to focus on that. So if you don't want to go to the gym per se, try to focus on how good it feels after rather than like how much you don't want to do it. I personally don't have a problem with going to the gym because my gym member is very expensive. So I guess that's a good thing. Under this new identity, I also made it very clear to myself that this isn't about being perfect. So if I fall off or miss a day or two, I will not shame myself like I used to. I will not go back to saying, oh, you're just not good at being disciplined. Instead, because I respect myself, I know that I will get back the next day and restart, and I can count on myself to do that. Look at the dirty dishes in the sink that I did not wash from last night. So that means I have to do it now. I did not do it last night because I was too sleepy. Sometimes I gotta remind myself that it literally takes 5 or 10 minutes to do it, so I should just do it and not have to deal with it in the morning. But yesterday, my mind successfully convinced me not to. Also, for the people who never squeeze water out of their sponge like me, please squeeze them. I'm trying to build a habit of doing this because I'm really bad at remembering to do so, but I recently learned that there's a lot of bacteria if you don't do so. So, squeeze your sponge. It's time to feed you, baby muffin.
Sitting in the basement apartment I rented with you, remembering the holiday party we had with the crew.
This kind of looks like rabbit food, but it works for me. And I hope I like it. Also, there's a chip on this bowl. I caused that because I drop it in the sink when I was washing the dishes. But I love this bowl so much that I'm not gonna throw it out. Let's have the first bite of my rabbit food breakfast. This year, being more consistent for me means eating breakfast consistently because I tend to skip them.
Gentle breath with me as we begin our sacred journey together. Powerful affirmations and gentle practices that will help you remember just how worthy and wonderful you are. We'll spend special time with our new 20-minute affirmation session. The way we start our day is a love letter to ourselves. Each morning, as the first rays of sunlight touch my face, I whisper to myself, this is going to be a glorious day. Life loves me, and I love life. You see, these first moments are sacred.
So this is how I became the most interesting person in the room.
Oh my god.
Here's one habit that makes you extremely intelligent.
Oh my god, YouTube ad is getting out of hand. I can't even skip it. Oh,
15 minutes a day.
there.
They set the tone for everything that follows. Take a moment now to imagine.
This year I'm using the 12-week planning method again. Basically what it is that you only set goals and daily tasks that you want to complete within the 12-week span, so about 3 months. So it makes goal setting less daunting. You know, when you think about setting goal for a whole year, like sometimes it's too long of a period, so it makes it hard to grasp like what you want to achieve. 3 months makes it a little bit less daunting. Also, it's feels like it's easier to commit and follow through with because like 3 months, like, oh, I can probably do these things. It also creates this sense of urgency because you only have 3 months to complete whatever you set out to do. You'll be surprised that most people set tons of New Year resolution and they abandon that by the time like March or April rolls around. So the fact that there's only 3 months, it really forces you to act in the moment. Also, most people are way more productive toward the end of the year because they feel the need to end the year strong. So the fact that there's only 12 weeks, it gives you that new boost and refresh every 3 months or so. Last year, I tried to do this in September and it did not go great. The first 3 weeks was good, but week number 4, I think, I completely fell off track and I did not do any of the daily tasks that I set out to do. And I felt super shameful about it. I told myself like, oh, I guess I suck and I'm just not a consistent person, which goes back to what I was talking about earlier about like that old identity that I still saw myself under. But with this planning method combined with the new identity that I was talking about, I'm pretty positive that this should work. With this being my first 12-week run of 2025, I'm starting with small habits that are achievable but still hard enough to push me. For example, instead of waking up at 5 or 6 a.m., I say let's just wake up at 7 a.m., but let's make this consistent. So wake up at 7 a.m. even on weekends, and let's not hit snooze ever. And instead of forcing myself to go outside in the morning to get sunlight in this cold weather, dark days, let's just use my therapy sunlight lamp in the morning and get my light in for my circadian rhythm. I don't know about you, but during the workday, I find it so hard to just focus on one specific task because, you know, your phone is here and you're with the computer, you gotta open YouTube, and there's so many other just random notifications, or sometimes I have random thought of like something that I want to check out, and then I'll just start scrolling on like shopping website and stuff. I did talk about like in a previous video how I try to end my addiction with social media. I use still the same like app blocker on my phone, and they has helped a lot with, you know, reducing my screen time. I think my screen time now is about 2.5 hours a day. Not too bad, but I want to improve my focus better. So what I've been experimenting with is that the night before I go to bed, I would go into my calendar and I would schedule a period of time, and I call this my deep work block. So basically this is an uninterrupted time block where I don't check my phone, all notifications are off, and I just work on something important. Outside of these deep work time blocks that are pre-scheduled, I also add little buffer blocks throughout the day. So these are the time that I allow my notifications to come through. I can still continue my work, but I'm also allowed to respond to whatever notification, whatever arises throughout the day. And I also add time throughout the day for a true break. So this is called the breakout block. So this is where I actually have a break. You'll be surprised at how many people like don't use their free time for actually being free. Like you're still thinking about a million things, or, you know, constantly getting stimulated. I want this to be a true break. Sometimes I would turn on some music that I really like, dance along, sings along with it, you know, just allow myself to have time to play. It's very important to have time in your day to have a true break.
A few moments later.